Hi, folks. We're Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the process where increasingly senior positions in government, the public service, industry association, peak bodies, quangos, and even boards of directors, CEOs, these sorts of things, how increasingly these positions are being set aside for affirmative action stooge appointments to be placed in there for I don't know, well, ideological reasons, of course, but also the theatrics and the cosmetics of it all, just the optics of hey, we've got a black lesbian as a CEO. Look how good we are. But you need to also understand that once that happens, once that process is and the stooge is in place, that most of the decision-making power has moved elsewhere. So if you see the British government as a case in point, the globalists now make all the decisions. The British government that doesn't actually exist in reality. They're just the frontline, optics stooges there to enact what the globalists tell them to do. Now, if you look at there are 5 primary aspirants for Prime Minister for the United Kingdom, and that they are all non-white. They're evenly split between male and female, and they're all non-white. So, and none of them on a purely competence sort of basis, none of them would be candidates for anything. They're all fucking useless, and yet here they are as aspirants for Prime Minister. Now, one of them is a black woman in her 30s with dreadlocks, who isn't even British anyway. She was born as a one-off. Arrived in England. The mother arrived in England, gave birth, and then left again. So none of these people have any ties or tradition or background or lineage or cultural affinity with the British nation, the British state, the British culture, anything like that at all. And yet those are we're told those are the only aspirants for the position of Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Once a position 100 years ago, once a position so revered that any leader, any sort of leader of any nation in the world wouldn't really do anything until they'd consulted with the British Prime Minister or the British government to get their approval or their blessing. Now the British government doesn't even exist. They're just, again, a bunch of stooges controlled by the globalists, and they get their marching orders. You will do this, you will do that. We now want a black lesbian as Prime Minister. Yes, okay, black lesbian it is. This is the situation that Britain's in now. But increasingly associations, and Britain, I think, is because it's been the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, because Britain has been, if you like, the lodestone, the cornerstone of much of Western culture, whether it be the United States or Australia and Canada and so on, that Britain is particularly set aside for being crushed and humiliated into the dust. They have to be crushed. That's where it began in terms of modern society and modern technology and industry and so on. So there've been a special crushing and humiliation is being reserved for Britain and its political establishments and its iconic establishments and so on that once used to be the envy of the world. Now they're being set aside again for humiliation. So we've got all the major associations in Britain. It could be the Association of Architects or the Association of museums or the Association of whatever, anything, law. Then it's a very determined push to remove all the white people in the key positions or key CEO and that sort of thing, or even in private companies like Waitrose, the supermarket chain, for example. So there's a keen desire to put again the proverbial black lesbian in as the CEO. and not as they're going to bring something to the table. They're affirmative action. There's no way they're even remotely qualified to be actually a CEO. So the power to make the decisions or the meaningful decisions is all being removed. That's being moved elsewhere. So they stick these stooges in, and they can do cosmetic things. They're allowed to hire more black lesbians. They're allowed to have affirmative action programs running. They're allowed to put in place anti-Nazi, evil straight white male training. They're allowed to do those sort of cosmetic things. But in terms of real or commercial decisions, then they're not allowed to do that, nor are they ever qualified. I was looking at one, black, I don't think she's a lesbian, but a black woman who was an affirmative action public servant. And I don't think she's ever worked a day in her life or had to actually make a decision for which she's been accountable. And for some reason, she was hired as CEO of a large commercial enterprise. and there is no way you'd point someone like that to actually get in there and make decisions. You just wouldn't do it. They've never had to make a decision in the private sector, never had to make a decision for which they're accountable at all. So clearly the decision making had been moved elsewhere, and that person was just a cosmetic piece of optics that was stuck out front. But we're seeing this all over. And you need to sort of come out and just consider this. The once 150 years ago, the British Prime Minister was probably the most powerful person in the world. And today, the British Prime Minister, they're looking at appointing some black woman with dreadlocks in there. So you know that it's no longer a position of consequence. It's no longer a position where you actually make decisions. It's nothing. You're just a little stooge flunky now to run around. You're pretending that it's all prestige and pretending you're important. Now, remember all the black or the non-white people who are supposedly the only aspirants for the job of British Prime Minister. How about this in a fucking white country, the only aspirants for Prime Minister are non-white? I mean, just think about that. All these people, they've all been parachuted into very, very cozy situations, into the British Parliament and into the political ecosystem. They've been parachuted in under very favourable conditions and circumstances. They've been given, they're all affirmative action appointments. But the people that have parachuted them in, the people that are facilitating their elevation, the people that are making sure that they are the only aspirants for the role, the people that are doing that are laying the groundwork and letting it happen. They're all straight white males. So that just shows how much the straight white males or the elites are prepared to sell out their own countrymen. And of course, the ultimate humiliation, all the senior positions in the British government were held by non-white people. And suck on that, you fucking white Nazis. You damn deserve to be crushed, you fucking Nazis. So this is the state. Now, it's happening all over the Western world. People are being parachuted in. And as I came across one just recently where this is firsthand, where there's quite a or what was once an influential association, as in an industry association, and they parachuted someone in there, a brown woman, and who had no qualification, none. It was 100% affirmative action appointment, and so someone's they brought her in through the back door, claiming that they gave her like the deputy CEO role. And then a couple of days later, the actual CEO left or moved on, and then they put her in as interim CEO, and that interim appointment lasted for like 5 years and that sort of thing. So they kind of backdoored it in and claimed they were really looking for somebody, but in fact they weren't. They wanted a minority person in there. But at the same time as that was happening, the actual decisions about what the association was doing and its affiliations, its commercial contract, all that sort of stuff. The board, which was all straight white males, the board took over that function. The CEO was just there to pose for photographs and again to make the decisions on how many paper clips they'd buy for the office or whether or not the carpets they would get would be this or that color. She had no authority to make any decisions other than irrelevant decisions that no one really cared about. But all the important, meaningful decisions have been taken off elsewhere. And this is a code. So whenever you see these positions being handed out to affirmative action appointments, then you also know that the decisions have been moved elsewhere and other people are making those decisions. And the position that the affirmative action non-white, the proverbial black lesbian flunky is filling, that's now an empty vessel. It does nothing other than, again, the optics of it all, or is being given irrelevant duties to perform. There's another way. I mean, I come across it sort of fairly often where, again, the minority, the brown woman is given the role, and her job is to just run around and sit in meetings and pretend to look important and busy, when in fact she's got no decision-making authority of any description. The only decisions she can make is when to book a meeting room or something like that. So we need to see that, but it shows that the intention isn't simply to remove white people and artificially promote non-white people and minorities and so on, but it also, the intention is to humiliate. Make no mistake, that's the sting in the tail. And that's the objective there in Britain, that not one white person is going to be allowed to run for the position of British Prime Minister. I mean, for fuck's sake. You've been a Tacitus debate, your pushback channel. Thank you for listening.